Hi there, Jeff here. I want to take a minute to get you guys' opinion on something. Some of you may know I'm a general sales manager at a car dealership. We're a CDJR store, and I'd like to get opinions from people in the industry and consumers. Tell me what you think and what maybe you would have done differently if you were in my shoes. So, for the last week or so, customers working with one of my salesmen here, the customers looking to buy a truck, the salesman's helping them with it, and we just keep coming up against offers from other dealers. Oh, this guy beat your price, this guy beat your price, this guy whatever. And we see that a lot of times, and that's not because the price is better. There are a lot of laws, especially for dealers in other states, that let them advertise pricing that's less than transparent. And unfortunately, that's the way it works. Even within Pennsylvania, there are laws that don't prevent dealerships from lumping a bunch of rebates together or including very conditional rebates. You know, if you don't have these exact conquest vehicles, you don't get this rebate, but it's lumped into the price you see online anyways. So that might be something worth discussing in another video, but for now, every time this guy kept getting pricing, and it's a little bit trickier because it is a lease, and leasing is calculated differently. There's money factors, there's residual, there's cap cost reduction, and he was getting a lot of out-of-state quotes, and I'm like, I don't have the faith that a dealer from New Jersey, Maryland, Delaware knows exactly how to calculate a Pennsylvania lease. I've seen Pennsylvania dealers screw it up. So I was a little skeptical, and after working with this customer for days and days and days, we finally got him to agree that our pricing was authentic, genuine, and accurate, and what he saw was what he got with it. So he agreed to purchase the vehicle. He asked if we thought that he should be able to get his deposit back from another dealership. I said absolutely. They were supposed to get a vehicle in for him. They couldn't. They didn't live up to their end of the bargain. He should get his money back. Piece of cake. I even told him, hey, if that doesn't happen, like we'll figure it out here. It's no problem. So we go ahead and we take a deposit from him. Now, my policy is for a vehicle to be taken off the lot, we have to have an agreement on all numbers set in stone. And that's a two-way street, because I don't want somebody agreeing to a vehicle and I take it off the market and then they want to renegotiate and change things. And on the other side of that coin, it's not fair if I do the same thing. If a vehicle that they put money on suddenly becomes hot and I get four other people on it, I'm not just going to sell it out from under them. That's not right. So agree to pricing, give a deposit that shows a monetary commitment to the vehicle, and have credit approval. It doesn't mean anything if you give me a deposit and your word that you want to buy this vehicle and then you're a 400 credit score and I can't get you approved for financing. So we took the deposit, we took the vehicle off the market, we were waiting for the last piece of the puzzle, the credit application, and the customer had plans to come on Saturday. Now, even with missing the last piece of the puzzle, we'd been talking to this guy long enough that I bent my own rule a little bit, took the vehicle off the market, and we're still actively trying to get the credit application. And I'm going to show a quick rundown of the text messages so you can see what happens next. Now, if we take a look, he mentions he's planning on coming out Saturday. We say, hey, that's great. We're missing the last thing. We need the credit application, yada, yada, yada. He got a TDM, also known as a targeted direct mailer, and asked if that was factored in. We said absolutely it was, because quite frankly, my guys here are good at their job. They're thorough. They don't miss stuff like that. Still asking for the credit application, still saying we need the information. It goes back and forth, back and forth. Okay, I went to get my deposit and they lowered the price on their vehicle by $93 a month. Now, quick sidebar to that, the math was actually wrong. They didn't lower their price $93. They lowered their payment $110 a month and sent over pricing to him that included the bare minimum of information. Like, if there's a dealership worksheet that looks like they're hiding something, this was it. And I'll show you that in a minute. However, yes, their payment was $110 a month less, allegedly. I still believe that that did not include taxes and fees because the math doesn't make sense, which I'll show you momentarily. But also, we were apples to oranges here. He gave us a deposit on a Ram 1500 Laramie, and he got pricing that was not even saying it was $110 better than our pricing. They lowered their own pricing on him $110 a month on a Bighorn, very different truck, when he went to get his deposit back. So that's red flag number who knows how many at this point for me. But if a dealership is able to lower the payment $110 and they only do that when you threaten to go do business somewhere else, that means that dealer was being way too greedy in the first place, and you should not give them your business. It's crazy. But here, let's take a look. And here is that exact worksheet. So yes, they are on a Ram 1500. It's a Bighorn instead of a Laramie. The MSRP is about $10,000 less than the Laramie we were working on, and they're showing their payment over there. No breakdown of fees, no breakdown of discounts, rebates, anything. No allusion to money factor or residual. It is as stripped down as you can get it. That's pretty wild. Now here's where we start to go through some things back and forth with the customer. The salesperson asks, hey, is that on the truck that you had ordered? No, they still haven't gotten in the one that they ordered. This one here has a different engine to it, but there's the pricing, there's everything. Now, in my opinion, if a customer says, oh, I got a way better price somewhere else, you know, it just doesn't make sense. So I asked for clarification because there's a difference between money down and money due at signing on a lease. He's insisting everything's good to go, and he spoke to this dealer and it's correct and it's accurate and there's nothing hidden or any BS. Now at this point in the text messages, the salesperson calls him and has a conversation with him, because we're like, what are you doing? If you are committed to buying the vehicle from us, why are you getting that pricing elsewhere? And I get that according to the customer, he was not asking for the pricing, they just threw it out at him. Now, I'm very suspicious because he claims that on the 14th is when he went to get his money back, and I didn't show it on that worksheet, but that's dated from the 9th, so it makes me feel like he's still been shopping despite having money down on us, and I think he wants his cake and eat it too. Like, oh yeah, I want to hold this vehicle, but I'm still gonna like shop around and squirrel around and play games and get offers from dealers that play games and don't include tax and tags and all this, that, yada yada. So that's what we feel is happening here. And he specifically told the salesperson, even though the salesperson was like, I don't think this is real, this looks bogus, this doesn't feel right, he says, well, I'm not going to not buy it just because you tell me that. So it sounds to me like this customer is no longer committed to our vehicle, and he even told his salesperson, hey, if I come in on Saturday, I want the truck with running board or whatever, you know, talked about a couple different things here. Now, I do want to mention that the customer asked for some particulars earlier on from the salesperson, the residual and I think the money factor, but then moved on to other questions with them and never really circled back to it. So the salesperson never got that information from me. I want to stress we weren't trying to hide that information, but after asking once and then he immediately followed up with another question, you know, he kind of moved on from that, and the salesperson just never got that info over to the customer. Whether that was right, wrong, or inconsequential, that's not what's important, but that was his big thing. I asked for information, you didn't get it for me. But I'm going to go ahead and do a part 2 on this because there is still a lot more going on. So take a look at the part 2 where I can wrap this up and you guys can give me your opinions.